It's a little bit different this time, but we'll get through this. I also want to wish you all a very happy EMS week. I am so very proud of all you people that serve on this council and what you do for your services and for your community. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Without you, things would be so much worse in our areas. And I thank you for participating tonight, especially. So with that being said, we really don't have any minutes or anything to approve because they're unable to get into the offices very often. So Donna, I'm going to turn it either over to you or John, and you can give us some updates, please.
Don's got to go first. Donna had to answer the phone.
Okay. So I've over the last several months, I've been busy, as many of you are aware of, that sit on executive. With the whole COVID pandemic, with creating, assisting the state with the policies, they now have, Jason's assisting me as well. We're entering, they call it the NAC paperwork, which is the National Ambulance Contract, which is all the ambulances that are deployed to New York City. We are assisting a group of the other program agencies in entering the one-page PCR into electronic, handwritten, and now we are putting that into the ImageTrend Elite site so that the state can get some additional data from that. We've been working, Donna and I have been working at trying to recapture some of these folks that got the their new card back, so to speak. Anyone that had an expired certification going back to 2015. They were given if they applied and they were in good standings when they left, they were granted a 1-year EMT card that will expire on December 31st of this year. So we've been racking our brains trying to come up with some ways of, if we have any of those individuals in our area to give them an avenue to recertify so we can maintain those levels. And I'm not going to steal all Donna's thunder, and she can talk to you about the we are planning to do our REMAC meeting as scheduled tomorrow morning. There's not a whole lot on the agenda, just a couple line items. There's more for the QA meeting that we'll be having in the morning than there is for the actual REMAC meeting. What else? I'm sure there's others. I sent out the 2 nominations that we've received to date for the New York State Vital Signs provider awards that they honor the folks each October. You could have gotten those in your email. If you didn't, let me know and I can send them to you. But we need to approve if we elect to send those off to the state for consideration. One of them was, Matt, help me out, Eric Decker. Is that correct?
Yes, ALS award, ALS provider.
And then there was one additional one. Was that for CES?
Yeah, it was CES Agency of the Year nomination.
Okay. So those are the 2 that I have. Certainly we have a little bit of time with the pandemic. They have extended the date range to July 1st that we need to have them into the Bureau by. So we have a little bit of time. We just need to get them in. I'd like to see more than the 2 that we got, but I'm happy that we at least got 2 to send in. I'll leave it at that for right now, and then if I think of anything else, I'll let you know.
John, would you like a motion right now?
Madam
Would
Chair,
be
I'd like to make a
Sure.
motion that we forward the nominations for Vital Signs Awards for Eric Decker and Canandaigua Emergency Squad to the Department of Health for their consideration.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? I think we had one opposed. Did anybody oppose, or were they just late coming on? Oh, I think it passed.
I think I abstained.
You, Matt?
Yeah, I think I abstained. Don't you think I should abstain?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think I should have abstained. It would look.
So all together it passes, so thank
I'm
you for that.
abstaining. How's that?
Donna, are you ready?
Sure, why not? So we're putting up summer classes. We have a daytime refresher basic EMT and core at Phelps Fire Department from 9 to noon. It will start on June 22nd and they will take their practical on August 1st. We have an evening refresher that will be at the Hopewell Fire Station 1 on Mondays and Thursdays. The same thing, EMT refresher with a core. And then we put up a weekend core in June for anybody who wants to do the 3-day weekend thing. So then the other thing that came to fruition today was the fact that John had gotten a couple of messages from some folks who were interested or curious, I guess, if we were going to do a CFR refresher in a core, which we hadn't really planned on, but I talked to Gene Taylor and John McMillan and Gene Myers today and asked if thinking outside the box was a way that maybe we could put the CFR refresher and the CFR core within the basic EMT. The core is only 5 hours difference, and the refresher is not much more than that. So they all came back and thought that that was a great idea. The only thing is I have to make sure that we let the CFRs know when we are into a topic that's going to be, the first part of it will be CFR, and then when it gets out of their range, they can either use it as part of their CME core on the back page or whatever, but we just have to make sure that we delineate to them what they can and cannot do. And the big part on that is in the medications and stuff like that. So they have to have the pharmacology, but there are some things that basic EMTs can do that CFRs cannot. So we just have to make sure, but they thought that was a wonderful idea because my thing to them was we don't have a lot of CFRs a lot. And that it's hard to get a class up and running. It's usually like at least the third semester before we can accumulate enough to make a class go. So they thought that was going to be okay to do that. Now, whether they'll approve it again for another time, I don't know, but this was kind of thinking outside the box. So I'm really good at thinking outside the box, they say.
Somebody has to.
Yeah, right. So that we for everybody, we did the paramedic practical exam in South Seneca. Everybody got through that. We did the AEMT with Terry's class Mother's Day at North Seneca Ambulance, and they made that. The only glitch, I haven't heard anything on Jake's class as far as I know. They were notified they could sign up for their exams. We did have a glitch with the AEMT because we did everything on the line that they wanted and everything went. But one of our students has not heard anything and everybody else has already heard from PSI on scheduling their exam. So I had to send that off to Jean today and ask her to research that. as to why the one person did not hear, because she did call PSI. I gave her the number and I said, you'll have to call and see if they sent it somewhere, they read something wrong for an email or whatever. They claim they have nothing on her that was ever came across from the state. So Jean or John McMillan is working on that to see what's happening as to why it got skipped. So
Yeah, I saw one of the paramedic students over the weekend, and he's going all the way to Buffalo to take his test.
Yep. I discourage the AEMT kids and that, do not sign up for testing at MCC because that is still closed. And as far as I know, from what I could gather on campus today, from just people that had dropped in and out, is that they were told that we fall in the education piece, which would be the 4th phase, which would be the end of June before we could get back in there. I've already sent a couple emails asking if we can go early, but so with that in mind, I told the kids don't sign for MCC because you could get there and it still be closed. But again, like I said, the state's checking on the one student as to why she got missed. And then I have called all of Terry's Tuesday night kids that the class is starting tomorrow night at Hopewell. And then that will test on August 1st. Then Gloria's class, I went and met with her kids last week, and she is testing the last Saturday of June. And then Dell's Hobart and William Smith class, I talked to all of those kids at least twice in the last 3 days because I had emailed them 3 options. One was that they could start back up Wednesday night with Dell in Hopewell, and then they would take their practical the end of June. Or if they're HWS kids, they could come back August 15th, and they would test the first weekend in September, or they could take an incomplete and redo the class over again in the fall at no charge to them, because a couple of them have already taken that option because they don't think that they've retained enough. And I talked to Dell, and Dell said both of those students were pretty weak to begin with. He had questions whether they would make it through a full class with no issues. So they're going to move to that. And that class will test in June, or it will test in September, or they'll take an incomplete. That's all been approved by the Bureau of EMS as well to be able to divide them out like that. So I'm thinking between that and the summer classes, that's about it for classes right now. We'll have to start thinking about fall classes, but I'm kind of waiting until after the 29th of May because we have another townhouse meeting that the president of the college puts on, and hopefully I will gather something from that. I know we've been told that summer is all straight virtual. There's no face-to-face. They have 3 phases that they're looking at, or 3 different options they're looking at for fall. One is everybody comes back and does as they did before. The other was a hybrid where you do some face-to-face and some Zoom or whatever. And then the other was everything will be 100% on Zoom for the fall. I kind of don't think that's going to happen, only because I know the president reported that they have been calling students and that, and some students have said if it's going to be 100% virtual, they're not coming back. So that's where I sat. I'm sitting here just waiting.
Can I
Is there
interrupt?
any other questions for Donna? Mickey?
Can I interrupt, Diane? I've got an emergency. Is this going to mess up things if I leave?
You have to
You
go,
go.
you have to go.
Okay, I do have to go. Thank you.
Be safe.
Thanks.
So does anybody else have any, I mean, the other issue is we're talking about fall classes. You know, we worked out a little issue with the CFR and the basic for in the summer. And if they'll let me do that in the fall, I can try it again. The other thing is some of the critical cares got their cards back. And if it's only good until the end of December, we're probably going to have to think about putting up a critical care core. We can't do a refresher because there's no testing, but it would be strictly a core. So I think that's going to be a fall offering. Plus whatever else we put up. Can you think of any other cards, Jen, that we have to think about besides basic EMT, CFR?
I mean, for the fall, certainly your EMT originals
Yeah.
and then just some core stuff, I would imagine.
Do we need, Heidi asked me over the weekend, because I was with her on Saturday while we were practicing with her class. She asked me if we thought we needed a paramedic core refresher for the fall and one for the spring. And I had said, I'm afraid if we do that, neither will go because of enrollment requirements. But I hate
Yeah,
I hate to see a paramedic lose their card that they just got back, but I can check with Bill Camilla and see if MCC is going to do a fall paramedic refresher. They usually do that in the fall, and it's usually online. Bob Breeze does that.
Anybody that took or got from the paramedic level that got their cards back should expire at some point in 21.
What was
They
that?
should not.
Okay.
They should not expire because only the ones that were expired and got their cards back when they were in good standings, their cards were only basic, even if they were expired paramedic.
Yeah, but I thought if they expired after September of 19, they could get their higher level.
I believe that's correct. If they expired prior to that, they came back as a basic.
Right. I just don't know if there's anybody out there. I don't want to try to put a class up and then MCC's not go either. I mean, because we've always kind of shared, they do the fall, we do the spring, so we can catch anybody that really needs it. So
I'm not sure there's that many that we might capture for the fall.
Because most of our kids locally in that have always either tested in May or whatever, so they would have done a refresher during the springtime, or they should be in the CME program. Or if they've got their paramedic card back, they should be with an agency that's in a CME program, I would hope.
John, can we do a poll to agency leaders and just see if anybody out there like that exists, and then plan in cooperation with MCC accordingly?
I mean, I can talk to Bill and see what he thinks. So, because like I said, usually Bob Breeze does that class. So it would give them an option. And like I said, I would think that if they had let their card lapse in December or January and they didn't come to us, that they probably aren't interested, but we'll see.
I'll see if we can come up with asking who would be interested in a fall versus a spring paramedic corps.
Okay, because that's my only other concern is if we do that and then we run the risk of the spring class not going, and that's where we usually have our nurses and all of that in there. So, but either way, do the survey just to see. I'm not sure that there's enough people out there to worry about, but if we ended up with 10 people, it's like, oh, wow, we missed them. We don't want to do that.
Right.
So that's pretty much it for me for classes.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Drugs? No.
No.
Don't even get me started. I got an email from the FDA that Versed's on shortage now this morning.
Oh, yeah. So other than that, I can't really think of anything. I'm just, we're in there on Mondays. Leanne and I are in the office on Mondays. And then I just sent an email last week to the provost, who is my leader, and saying that I would be in and out periodically because we can't do the practical exams there. I have to haul equipment all over. And so I will be in and out of the building. If security sees me in there, then they'll know why I'm there. So they won't think that I'm stealing all the equipment. So I've heard nothing back from him. So I figure no news is good news. And, the motto on campus is, beg forgiveness later, never get permission for anything.
Well, I guess you'll find out when they tackle you in the hallway.
Well,
I put my money on Donna. Matt, you don't by any chance have a treasurer's report, do you?
No, he doesn't. I'll bet Leanne forgot to send it.
Okay. Okay.
No, I didn't see anything on the emails.
No, I'm pretty sure she didn't because I'll bet she never even realized there was a meeting today. So,
Is there anything else we need to talk about?
So the CON committee will need to start reviewing. I'm getting materials in for the Union Hill and Marion ambulance transfers to Western Wayne. All that paperwork is coming in, so we're going to need the CON committee, which is, I believe, is Donna, myself, Bill Little, and Ray. And I have asked Everett to also sit in on it to review. And Ed, please chime in. Ed, I spoke with him today. I believe it only needs to be reviewed for fitness and competency, and not a public hearing and the extended process. Because essentially it's a transfer of ownership and not really anything else. So Ed, can you just chime in and just follow that or reiterate any of that? Let's see if he's on mute here. Ed Majors, are you there? You're on mute if you are, sir.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Now we can.
Okay, here I'm sorry. I was talking. I told you the whole thing. Did you get all that?
Absolutely.
Okay. No. So basically the scenario is that your CON committee or systems committee, however you have it established, will review the application, all the supporting documents that are required in accordance with policy statement 0606, which we highly recommend that you follow to a T. Once the application has been deemed complete and you have all the documentation that is required, you would then request a fitness and competency review, and the 37, I think 77, 78, the documentation plus the CVs that are submitted would be sent to Albany. They would do a fitness and competency review. Then you got, follow the procedures as outlined in 0606, but then after that, the systems committee can then make a recommendation to the full council, whether they, want to proceed or not based on the documentation and everything. But it's really based on fitness and competency. There's no public hearing, and there is no need for a hearing officer or anything to that effect. So really the motion would come as a seconded motion from your systems committee or your CON committee to the full council once that process is fully completed. And then at that point, once the council decides to approve it or deny it, if they approve it, then it would go for a 30-day, in case somebody's going to contest it. And then at that point, we would then schedule the full service inspection and then issue the operating certificates. Just keep in mind that this one, there are two applicants. There's 2 CONs being transferred, and just ensure that the applicant, the one that's bordering Monroe County, is also their service area includes Melrose region, so the same application could be submitted to Melrose for that process. So that's all I have on that, John. Unless there's questions.
Anybody have questions for Ed? Who else is in the meeting that called in via phone? Somebody else is on mute, but I just see a phone number.
315-382-3457. If you're the lucky winner, please let us know.
Caller 9.
Also for the attendance, I do have David Hubble listed in attendance as well. He came in late.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead. BOK's here.
Jason, can you unmute that so we can?
And John, I do have a few DOH things. If you just tell me when I can speak on that. Just a couple items.
Looking for the identification and phone number 315-382-3457. You've been unmuted. I just heard feedback. It's got to be somebody who's here. Somebody call in by phone for their audio.
Is that Jackie?
Nope, it's not me.
No, I relay.
Is it Gloria?
No.
No, I'm here.
No, 382 is Daryl Bailey.
Aha,
Oh,
got
okay.
it. Perfect. Thank you. All right, we're all set.
By all means, go ahead with your additional items.
Oh, okay. Ed Major, DOH. I just two things, or maybe a couple more, but I'll keep it brief. I just wanted to express our gratitude EMS Week for all the agencies and agency leadership and the continued efforts to combat COVID and all the activities that continue to go on with EMS and the EMS system. And we're proud to have all the agencies and all the providers actively making significant sacrifices in this unprecedented time. So I just wanted to say thank you and congratulate everybody on a unique or a different EMS week this year. We also would normally be having the EMS Memorial tomorrow. I believe they're going to have a wreath laying ceremony tomorrow. I think they're going to webcast. I haven't seen an announcement on it, to be honest with you, yet. So if anybody knows of that, please mention it. But just a couple things to note about the Western Regional Office, DOH side BEMS. Our office has been basically fully deployed since the end of March. Both of our robust staff of 2. We've been deployed. Don Tripez was deployed off to New York City for an extended period of time, and I was deployed off to Albany in the capital, doing various tasks with hospital capacity coordination and nursing home capacity coordination, et cetera. So we have not. We've still tried to maintain our active engagement with the EMS agencies and to be as responsive as we can, but I'm sure that we've missed a few or some items. So if there's something that you have outstanding or that you have questions about, I'm back in the region, working from home. I just got back from the Buffalo office today, and I carried in about 2 wheelbarrows worth of renewal applications and that kind of stuff. But we're really not processing anything. So if there are agencies, I would suggest 2 things. One, we don't have a Rochester rep still, so I'm still the primary person that's dealing with the EMS agencies and agency leadership in the zone. If your agency is about to expire or has a upcoming expiration date, I would encourage your agencies to get all of the renewal paperwork, including the narcotics applications, into the Buffalo office. I would suggest that you scan, or the agency scans those renewals to my attention at my email, and certainly mail the original documents to the Buffalo office. Those applications will be considered timely, and as long as they're an appropriate renewal and complete, then we will consider them covered under the State Administrative Procedure Act. However, to be clear, we're not issuing automatic SAPA or State Administrative Procedure letters. If your agency or agency has a issue specific to billing or to you're in the need for narcotics and you're not able to get them because your license has expired or will expire in the near and upcoming future, we can issue a SAPA letter if the agency requests that. So they could send that request to my attention at my email, and I'll be glad to get them something after we review the application and deem that it was complete and timely submitted. So I just want to emphasize that. I think it's an important piece that, and the other component is if you have a new vehicle that is, you're transitioning or you're taking something off the road and trying to register something, we can email through our operations chief, Dan Clayton. He's got a contact with the DMV. You can email either Daniel Clayton directly, or you could email to me, and I'll help coordinate with that. We need some information, insurance information, 1881, and some other information basically that's similar to the 1881 that we would send over to the DMV and help get those new vehicles registered. However, the turnaround time is like 3 to 4 weeks on the DMV. Now, if you have a connection with your local DMV office and you can get it registered and they're open 1 day a week or something to that effect, certainly pursue that avenue. But that's the process that we have that we can sort of assist with there. So, subject to your questions, I think that's about the end of my report. Again, I cannot express the gratitude for all the EMS providers and the EMS agencies and everything that people have been struggling. You know, I will say, I hope that there's been some positive movement towards PPE in the area. We've had, I've gone, well, I don't even want to get into the PPE thing, but there's been a lot of requests through the state process. There's also been a lot of frustration through the state process. However, I think that from a regional perspective, we've done everything we can to give guidance to the agencies that were struggling with PPE. And to be as responsive as we can, even through a unique process, I'll say. But we have worked with Ontario County and the emergency manager and certainly emergency managers throughout the area. So anyhow, any questions? If not, that's the end of my report, and thank you.
And I do have one. The governor had mentioned at one point for hospital systems that post-pandemic, he was going to mandate a 3-month supply of PPE based on their burn rate. Have you heard anything within the Bureau as that being required for the EMS folks as well?
I think that I have not heard anything specific in an executive order pertaining specifically to EMS. I think that, as we look strategically on a forward basis, not only from the perspective of reopening the Bureau, getting back to some sense of normalcy, because all of the Bureau staff has been either, fully deployed or not working from, everybody's been working remotely, and, there's been a lot that the Bureau has been able to accomplish. But I think strategically looking down, there will be some guidance coming forth regarding specifics to PPE and EMS agencies, probably be recommendations, if not some form of mandate, but that currently is not in any executive order that I've seen at this time, John.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Major?
Yes, Ed, it's Donna. I have one question. Students who have IEPs now with this computer-based testing, does that get relayed to the PSI people that they get time and a half?
Yes, if they were approved through our process, the process has not changed as far as I know. So they would get the allowable extra time that would be allotted in their plan.
So if they get a letter from the Bureau, they should take that with them to testing then.
Yeah, I think that there's, I'll double check and let me follow back up with you. But I think that if somebody's on an approved plan, that information is transmitted when, when they're signed up. But I want to be very clear that I better just get clarification on that. I know they're given the allotted time. They should bring the letter with them, that's for sure. But I don't know if it's pre-established or if it's done. I think it has to be pre-established. So I think that I better just check with Gene to make sure that, what are the logistics behind that. I know they get the extra time, but the logistics behind it, I agree. Keep the letter, bring the letter with them in case there's questions. But I better, if you want, feel free. You don't have to go through me. You could just email Gene to make sure that is the.
Okay, I can email her tomorrow. I just didn't know for sure because I've had a couple of students that we're trying to get through, obviously, and they've asked me the other day. They're like, "Well, I have an IEP that you already mailed in. Is that going to be good?" And I said it should be.
Now, if they got an approval letter from the Bureau, I think that I think that it's taken care of when they do the transmission through the process to say they're, you send in the course paperwork, all that, and then it gets like they're allowed to test. So I believe there's a mechanism in there for that, but don't quote me on that because I'm a little bit blurry on the conversation that occurred many months ago. So yeah, I think it's best if you email Jean on that.
Okay.
Does anyone have anything else they want to add to tonight?
Diane,
Yes?
it's Mike. Can you just do a little blurb so everybody knows about ice cream with Father Ed? Because I can't remember the date. I just go when I'm told to go. So I forget now and again. I'll remember it in 10 minutes, but if we're talking now, I don't remember. So.
As many of you know, Mr. Ed Wedge, who was a charter member of the council, has failed greatly in the past couple of weeks. And he has sent a letter of resignation into us. So Donna, the date of the
Is June 10th.
meeting is June 10th?
Yep. Did you get the letter yet?
No, I bet he forgot to sign it or send it. So, but he has resigned. You'll see, said he'd stay on till June, but as everybody has seen him lately knows, he's not doing very well. So we thought if you'd like to join us June 10th in Penn Yan at, what was the ice cream store?
Max Ice Cream on Route 14A.
At 6:30,
Yep.
if you'd like to join us.
It's only about a mile and a half from Ed's house.
Right. His son is now living with him full time. For a while there, he was just going back and forth, but now he's there for good. And so please come and give us, just show your support to Ed. He's done a great deal. He's been chairman. He has been chair of training Ed forever. He's done a lot. He's poured his heart into this.
He taught my original EMT class almost 16 years ago now.
All right, Diane or Donna, for either one of you, this is Tad. I taught Ed's EMT class, and looking through my scrapbook, I have pictures of that class and I have pictures of Ed. And I was wondering if there are other pictures of him we could make up a display board to have there at Max, just for people to look at.
I can look and see what I've got, but I don't think I have a lot. That would be pictures that he was at the conference, different conferences. I'll look and see what I've got, Ted.
All right, I've got, well, there's a couple of dozen from the class, but I think there's at least 5 or 6 that Ed's in doing a auto extrication as part of his EMT class.
Okay.
I was his original instructor.
Hey, Tad, you know what that means, don't you?
I'm old.
You are older than dirt, buddy. You've been at this way too long.
Yeah.
They had cameras back then when.
It's on.
Well, you had to stay still and wait for the gunpowder to explode. You couldn't move or smile. So
That's it. The flash tray was always hard to hold.
Yeah, they're on tin types.
Yeah. Was that called hieroglyphics?
No, but we didn't have an EMT book. We had a stone tablet.
Diane.
The kind of tablet you didn't have to plug into charge, right?
Right.
Diane.
Yes.
Carmen's cousins own Max Ice Cream. And I am going to ask them this weekend. They have a small shed there that they're able to do mini golf out of and stuff like that. Not that I want to see it for that, but just in case it's raining or the weather is not the best, we can have a small place, not that everybody can get into probably, but we can at least get Ed in so he's dry and out of the weather if the weather is bad.
That's a great idea.
And I know they have a couple of them, I don't know, them
Pop-up tents.
nylon pop-up tents also, and I'm sure Teresa and Rick would put them up for us, or Carmen and I would, so we could have them if the weather's not the best.
Yeah, Tad, again, I'm only 4 or 5 miles from Max. You know, if you need help there, just get in touch with me, Mike.
Okay, yep.
And I can bring the pictures, or Donna, if you'd like me to get them to you, I can make that happen.
Either way, because we can put them on a poster board. I can mount them on a poster board.
So,
Okay, I'll talk to you after this meeting and arrange a time to get the pictures to you.
Okay.
Diane, if you could send my best to Mr. Wedge, I will actually be teaching a Vital Signs Academy at 6 o'clock that night. So
Dokey, I'll tell him.
I'm sure he'll give me a pass because I'll be teaching, but nonetheless, give him my best wishes, please.
That we will do.
If things go all right, I'll be headed for Nashville, Tennessee that day.
Hmm.
Can you
Oh.
with you?
it's right on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're headed south. What the hell?
yeah, I gotta head over 90 westbound to start.
Well, take the long. All right, Miles, we'll let it go this time.
All right. That's if everything's open up down there. We got our national motorcycle reunion that week.
Hopefully it opens.
Yep.
Is there anything else for the committee?
Diane, just one further thing, if the rest of the committee can start thinking of, it's that time of year where we need to start the planning process for the conference in the event that everything realigns and we're able to have it again in February. So if you can, guys, have any suggestions or topic and subject matter, please email those to me.
Thank you, John. Anything else? Again, I want to thank you for coming here tonight, taking time out. Hopefully in June, we'll see you all. And please be safe and know that I am very proud of you all for EMS week. God bless.
God bless you.
Make a
Thank
motion
you,
to
Diane.
adjourn.
Make a motion.
This is Tad. I make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
I'll second it.
Second.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
There's the real Mr. Harris.
Hello.
Hi, you were smiling this